Hi, my name is Milan Cordova. I'm doing my Media Lab 2. I'm talking about my non-profit organization, which is Generation Justice. As you can see, it's KUNM 9.9 because it's a radio station. It's not a profit organization. I'll go deeper into that on the next slide. And in this Media Lab 2, we'll focus on the misconceptions of how we speak, especially for radio, and why the perception of the way we speak is wrong, and also the way we dialect and register our voice, especially when we're on air and doing radio. There's me. This is one of Generation Justice or not orgs. Generation Justice post on Instagram. This is January 24th, so this is a long time ago before the pandemic. During this time, me and the person who's in it is Amber Wallen. She's just a person who does Kids Count, which is a data book for the government and governors, mayors, any people in the legislature, so they can see all the data, especially relating to child poverty, anything that has to do with the pueblos, and how many kids are working and or who are not working and who are also not going to school. So it just focuses on all the data, and that's me with her. What Generation Justice is, it's a nonprofit organization that focuses on interviewing people like her, getting to know her story. Like my director always says, Roberta Royale, she always says that we're just the microphone and we like to share other people's voices, which is why we shared her voice. On Sunday, we recently spoke with the Secretary of State. And yeah, I also did host that week. Anyway, if you guys want to learn more about Generation Justice, you can go on the website. I'm just going to keep on going forward. So this is one of the things we posted, which was Black Lives Matter. So this is just the mission. Generation Justice is a multiracial project that trains youth to harness the power of community through media, intentional narrative shift, and critical consciousness. That means intentionally and lovingly we stand with the movement, with any movement. In this case, is Black Lives Matter. The words that we use on a regular basis, as you can see in this short paragraph, is race equity, justice, equality, and critical consciousness. Those are some of the words that we like to use. That's kind of what some of the words we use a lot. This is GJ's mission, which is Generation Justice's mission. The person for my media, or not for my media lab, for my actual project 2, that I'll be interviewing for my discourse community is Kateri Zuni. She's a youth coordinator for Generation Justice. She's been with Generation Justice for several years, so she knows a lot about Generation Justice. I was with Generation Justice 2 years ago, and now I joined back about 10 months ago. Actually, like 10, 12 months ago. And yeah, so now I'm a GJ intern. I think this is really important because we're talking about the way we dialect and use words, and these are some of the main words we use. So these are the core values that Generation Justice considers, and that we use a lot of the time, especially when we're on radio and talking about the multiculturalism, the equity, youth leadership and empowerment, which is basically what our show is about. It's all about youth leadership and empowerment, because all we have about 90% of the time is youth speakers, youth hosts, and youth interviewers, and sometimes youth who are being interviewed. We like to think ourselves as a community. We always use the word love, and we always like to use the word action, because we take action by producing radio every Sunday at 7 p.m. So I'm going to answer the questions that was in the Media Lab 2. Question was, how do people in GJ Generation Justice speak and dialects and register? So for our register, Roberta, the head director, always likes to call it a sexy voice, because when you're on radio, you have to you have to speak in a way that you're not reading off of script, but in a way that you're kind of like a sexy voice, which is what we like to call it because it's easier to remember. It's easier to know what we're actually talking about. A misconception of Generation Justice is that a lot of people think that the way that Generation Justice speaks is kind of the way we articulate our words is kind of weird, especially pre-recording or pre-airing. We like to talk about all the different topics, but we also, when we're speaking, we always go through this same routine, which is kind of a weird routine. We do vocalization, which is also another aspect of our dialect and register. Vocalization just helps us, read the script better, read the script without actually, reading the script. Try to use more emotion in it. So we use this thing. It's called a fishing rod. We go zzz, so we can kind of loosen our thing. We use a bunch of different tongue twisters and such, so we can make sure we don't slur our words, and we can make sure all of our words are clearly articulated. A lot of people, when you first come into the GJ meeting and we do these vocalizations, they think it's weird because we're ba 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 ba, which is one of the vocalizations we do in order to open up our jaw more and open up our lungs more. So whenever you're seeing all of us do this, it's kind of weird if you're a first time. I remember when I first came in 2 years ago, it was really weird, and it's sort of a misconception that that we're kind of weird and off. But the reason we do it is so we can sound better on radio. Another misconception is that my mic cut out. Okay. As I was saying, another misconception is that whenever we use the words such as whenever we're using multicultural or critical consciousness, I guess another misconception is that when we're saying it, some of our GJ members have to say it over and over again because they don't say it right. So I guess that's kind of a misconception in a way, because then they don't know how to articulate it in a way. But it's because most of them are younger than me. So let's talk about dialect and register. The next question is, what would you like the audience to know about the way of speaking? I feel like they must know that the reason we speak a certain register, which is aka the sexy voice, is not because we want to sound fake, because like most talk shows do, but it's because we want the people who listen to feel what we say. And not only the people that listen, but ourselves feel what we're saying instead of just saying it. And you can kind of tell when you're reading off script and when you're not reading off script. Also, we don't want them to think everything is scripted, and we're like kind of in a way a puppet. We want them to think we are people who genuinely care about our community and the minority, which we do, which is the reason we use the sexy voice, the vocalization, in order to get ourselves more in tuned with the way we speak, especially when we're on air, because you can't mess up on air. Luckily, during this pandemic, we haven't got to go into the actual building itself, so we didn't have to be on air at all. We're all doing it scripted and through Zoom, so it's kind of easier now. And that's the end of my project. I hope you enjoyed. This is Milan Cordova and Generation Justice signing off.